Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 24, overall 354 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them info@barrycullen.com and tell them Chris Palme sent you. Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern Talk and Sports. I hope everyone's doing well on this Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. This is my second show of the day, and I want to say thank you to Dan Miller from the Detroit Lions coming on earlier today, and I'm looking forward to my guest tonight. I am friends with her through LinkedIn, and this is her first appearance on our show. Her name is S.E Puett. She's a senior consultant with PwC Consultant Solutions out of Oklahoma, and I'm excited to have her on our show tonight to talk about her career and her background in athletics as well as coaching and mentoring. Good evening, S.E. How are you?
Hi, Chris. How's it going? Thank you for inviting me to your show.
You're welcome, and a happy belated New Year.
Happy belated New Year to you as well. I hope it's off to a strong start for you.
It has been. I can't complain. I'm keeping myself busy, and I was in your country the other day for a day trip, and I had a good weekend, busy weekend, and I love it.
Well, I hope you're staying warm enough. I know we talked earlier about the traffic, and I can definitely relate there.
How's the weather in Oklahoma right now? What city in Oklahoma are you in?
So I'm in the greater Oklahoma City area. I tell everybody I'm about 2 miles from the closest Walmart. And
okay.
And we just got our taste of winter. It's only a couple of months late. Sometimes around football season, around October, we'll get a few ice storms here and there, but it's been relatively warm. So we finally got our first snowstorm this morning, and by snow I mean heavy sleet and ice that piled up to simulate snow somewhat.
I don't mind driving in the snow. It's the ice I don't like, because I don't care what kind of tires you have. Ice is ice. I like ice in my drinks, but not on the roads.
Hey, I'm with you on that. Absolutely.
Hey, SC, I've been to the States many times. I've been to 13 states, obviously not all 50. But can you tell our audience a little bit about Oklahoma, like how big it is population-wise, and what are the things that are known in Oklahoma? Obviously, the football team and the college team, the Sooners.
So one of the things about Oklahoma that people might be surprised to hear is that we're one of the largest cities per capita. And it's not because we're so densely populated. It's because Oklahoma City was built out on a grid, and it continued to build outward and upward. And so the infrastructure that sits beneath Oklahoma City stretches for miles and miles and miles and miles, as opposed to maybe New York City, where it's very densely built on top of itself. Oklahoma, I'm a native Oklahoman. I'm very proud of my state. So I could brag on Oklahoma all day, but I'll say first and foremost, Oklahoma has very deep Native American and indigenous heritage.
I did not know that.
Yeah, many tribes call Oklahoma home. And as a result, we've got a number of beautiful cultural centers and museums scattered throughout the state. Our tourism department is a group of rock stars. They boast a pretty impressive online tour guide. Just a quick plug, I don't work for them, but if you're ever on the road from I-35 to I-40, just hit up travelok.com and they can make a great 3-day weekend out of it for you. Another thing, I'm a foodie. I love food. Our culinary community has pretty well exploded over the last 10 years. We bring kind of like a mix of both traditional and multicultural experiences. But the cool thing about food in Oklahoma is that it's been featured on the Food Network many, many times. In fact, at one of my previous addresses, I used to live next door to the owner of Florence's restaurant on the east side in Oklahoma City on 23rd Street. And they were, Florence and her daughter were both featured on the Food Network. So super exciting stuff. There's lots of special things that people don't typically think about when they hear the word Oklahoma. But as for myself and for my neighbors, we're also known for our hospitality. So if you visit my home, I'm going to greet you the same way that my grandma greet used to. I'm going to say, come sit down. Are you hungry? Have you eaten? You know, so it's about a pretty diverse place that many people wouldn't think hearing about a Bible Belt state. But those two interstates have grown in multiculturalism as well as in diverse economic opportunity in Oklahoma. So, like I said, lots to say about my state.
And that's why I love this show, because I learned something new from all my guests every episodes. In Oklahoma, I've never been there, so I'm gonna have to go there to visit and maybe go to a football game. And what food would you recommend for someone like me if I do come and visit Oklahoma in the future?
Are you comfort food? Are you spicy? Are you more savory?
I would say I'm a steak, beef guy and
Oh
pasta
yeah,
guy.
I
Steak,
got
beef,
you.
and pasta. Yeah.
Yeah, so right off the top of the head, I would say Broadway 10, mahogany, the ranch. I'm probably going to make some Oklahomans mad at me and say, "What about this and what about that?" Now, a long time ago when I was little, I would have said Cattleman's, but that place doesn't really exist anymore. But yeah, we've got some good steaks here. We could give Texas a run for their money.
Well, like I said, I've got a new vehicle, and I'm hoping this summer I can do some traveling. And this technology, I started this show during the pandemic, and I turned a negative situation for 2 years into a new career. And this technology is amazing because you're probably about 2,000 miles from where I am near Toronto, and this technology really does shrink the world down.
Yeah, yeah, it's made the world feel a little bit smaller, but it's also made the world feel a little bit more isolating sometimes. And so that connectivity and I'll pull you into this, the way that you are able to incite connection on your show with people from diverse backgrounds and diverse practices. That's what we need to keep happening. All too often, the generation that was raised on screens, um, there's higher and higher studies showing that there's an increased sense of isolation and anxiety and introversion. And when I say anxiety, even social anxiety. And it's so important to continue to identify and incite opportunities for connection to keep our community a little bit tighter. And that's not just for good neighboring. That's for anything that you're shooting for, economically, sense of community, what have you.
I love doing the virtual podcast radio show, but lately in the last year and a half, I've done a lot of live interviews, and there's nothing better than talking to somebody face to face with a microphone in hand, because you don't really have time to prepare, and you have to just make sure you listen and know how to talk to somebody. And I just love that too as well. And I totally agree with you. Here's a fun fact about me, and I'm going to share this with you. When I was younger in elementary school, high school, even college, I hated public speaking. I avoided it like the plague. And now, being 51, almost 52, I have completely reinvented myself. And that's a fun fact about me that a lot of people don't know about.
I would have never guessed that, first of all, but I will say we're very much aligned there. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I am a natural introvert, and I've worked on my communication for many, many years. I'm always trying really hard to work on my communication so that whoever's in front of me, receives the information the way that they need to receive it. And one of the roles that I took in my career was in training and development, because I saw that these people had to get up in front of people and speak all the time and learn to facilitate. And so threw myself into a role doing training and development for employees within the state of Oklahoma and within the field of corrections. And I think, if I hadn't done that, I probably would not have ordered my steps to be prepared for an opportunity like this. So I hear you loud and clear.
Good. I have to ask you this too. I was reading this in your bio, but what was your experience being like in the field of corrections?
So I quite literally went to prison looking for a job to work through college, through undergrad. And my brother told me, I was at Southwestern Oklahoma State University in Weatherford, Oklahoma. Go Bulldogs. And my brother told me that about 40 miles down the road in Hinton, America, is a prison that'll pay you $8.50 an hour. And they'll work around your college schedule, and they'll set you up with benefits, this, that, and the other. And I was a new mother at that time. Needed the benefits, definitely needed the hours, and by the way, back then, $8.50 an hour was good work. Back then, that was good money to have. Needless to say, working in prisons, no, they don't work around your schedule. You work around their schedule. and so I started out in uniform, worked primarily in paramilitary environments, started out as a new cadet and worked my way up to a lieutenant's position before I moved into other areas of operations, working as a case manager and a unit manager. And as my career progressed within that, I started becoming interested in back-end operations, the data analytics behind it, what drives good key performance indicators, even programming. I never believed in offender programming until I was exposed to it, and I saw the power that it had to transform lives and to offer an alternative pathway for people who felt like they were out of options. So I don't take anything back from it. I am a better person because of my time that I spent there, and it organically exposed me to opportunities that now led me into the career that I'm doing now, which I don't know if that would have happened otherwise.
That's awesome. And one thing too, when you were in corrections, obviously you saw a lot. Was it hard when you went home at night to leave the uniform and work there?
Yeah, so one of the famous phrases, and I don't know if they still use this, but do your 8, leave it at the gate. First of all, we never worked 8 hours. It was more like 12, 16, 20, So it is impossible for you to separate yourself from your work when you spend the majority of your 24 hours at your work. It is impossible unless you're just moving your mindset into a regressive place. And even then, you're not allowing yourself time to process and really digest what you saw, what you heard, what you felt, what you experienced. And vicariously so through your team members or through the inmate population. So I absolutely had to figure out who I was going to be and how I was going to be and be consistent in that every single day, because in prison, the only thing that changes is you. So that means if you wore your hair differently, everyone was going to notice and they're going to start asking why. If you showed up with a new watch, they're going to ask you where you got it and how you afforded it. It's that kind of mentality where there's always some kind of ulterior motive. Because if, as an offender, as an inmate, as an incarcerated individual, if I have had all of the world's comforts that I have known at the time taken away from me, then my main objective every time you show up to work is to figure out what you need to see and what you need to hear from me in order to get what I need out of you for that shift. That might just be peace and quiet. Seriously, that might just be, I don't want you to come and ransack my cell doing a cell search. I don't want you yelling at me every time I take an extra 5 minutes to get locked down for count. If I'm running late for rec, I need you to give me a pass this one time. What is it that you're going to need to hear from me or see from me in order for me to get that little ounce of favor? And frankly, it's at its core, it's being firm, fair, and consistent, and then doing that every day. And it sounds simple, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of forethought, and it takes a ton of reflection on yourself. And as somebody who went into corrections at what I consider to be a younger age, in my adult and in my professional career, there are a lot of men in those facilities that did help raise me up to be the savvy person that I am today in terms of being more people smart or being better about mitigating risk, having strategic conversations about cost benefit. Those are real life things that happen every day, and they translate into a variety of scenarios. So again, very valuable experiences. Plenty of scary experiences and plenty of experiences to make you question, what in the world am I doing here? But again, I've been able to see the change that can happen in people's lives and change for the better. I've been able to see opportunity present itself, and I've been able to see other people create opportunities to leave people, places, and things better than when they found them. You'll hear me say that a lot. It's one of my mantras in life.
Did you see a lot of burnouts with some of the correction guards in there? And were there other female corrections, or were you kind of the minority then?
So being in an all-male environment, you're immediately the minority.
Okay.
Immediately. And now, obviously, if you're in a female populated facility, that's another story. And I did not work with females until I was in administration, helping out in a deputy warden capacity. What I will say is, there's this feeling or this sense that you're not innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty until proven innocent. Everybody wants to know why you're there. Why did you come to work in a prison? What is your what are you aiming at here? And for me, first and foremost, it was insurance, and it was a good standard of living for me and my daughter until I could get out of undergrad. What ended up happening was I got sucked into it. I started promoting. I started finding new areas that I was interested in. And I live and breathe for a challenge, and prison's full of challenges. So getting to learn new things, getting to achieve things that you've only ever seen or heard about around you or on TV, or things that you never thought you were capable of completing. The first time I made the sort team, I had everybody rooting against me. They didn't want a female on the sort team, And that's not to say that I'm the only female that was on the sort team. It was just that rare. And it was that rare for it to happen at those facilities that I was staffed at. But it also incited a different sense of camaraderie. It incited my love for incident command systems. It incited this work smarter, not harder, so that you can put all your time, effort, and energy behind the people that are going to drive the work. And in some cases, the inmates were the people driving that work. Whatever the operation was that you were responsible for managing in that moment, your ability to move among people and to motivate people and to help people leave with a sense of self-respect and dignity, that absolutely makes or breaks your shift.
We have a audience member, Audrey. Amazing journey. I believe I met her on LinkedIn, and she was excited to watch the show with you on tonight.
Audrey Daniels.
Yes.
You need to check her out. She's absolutely a change maker in her right. She's actually a LinkedIn facilitator. She has served in public service on an advisory board in higher ed. She is a proponent for inciting meaningful change at the community level. So yeah, highly recommend that one. You need to check her out.
We're already following each other, and I want to say thank you to Audrey for watching our show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes. One other question about that, and then we'll get on to some other questions, is
Sure.
Did you see a lot of burnouts from other correction guys in there from working there years and working 12, 14, 16-hour shifts?
Yeah, so burnout is a way of life in corrections. It doesn't matter what capacity you're working in. It doesn't matter if you are filing papers all day, every day. Burnout is a way of life, and that is not to glorify it. That is to have an honest conversation with your staff about what is your strategy for coping and managing. Burnout at its core is a product of compassion fatigue. And you'll see compassion fatigue everywhere around you. You'll see it in customer service. You'll see it when you call in with a grievance about your phone bill or your cable bill or something. And those people, you don't call your phone or cable company because you're having a good day. You're calling them because you have a problem, and those people are listening to problems day in and day out. Law enforcement officials, you don't call the police because you're having a good day, right?
That's
And
true.
healthcare
Yeah.
professionals, you don't go to the ER because you're feeling good, so these public service superheroes, and that's what I endearingly refer to all of them as. They wake up every single day with a purpose and intention behind hopefully making a good living, doing something that is meaningful to them and to who they are intrinsically and what that means about them. And in the process of that, there's a cost. There's a cost to the time and the energy and the effort and everything else that goes on the back burner so that they can come and be fully present for that shift, whatever that shift is. In Oklahoma, well, it's not even just in Oklahoma. In our country, teachers experience compassion fatigue every single day. So burnout is about addressing the signs, symptoms, and triggers of that compassion fatigue and learning how you, not the guy next to you, not the professional, 2 floors down, whatever that is, but what speaks to you, what calms and soothes, the rage inside when you have to keep everything in, what keeps you from beating up on yourself when you go home at the end of the night or end of the day, whenever your shift is, and you gave everything that you've got and you still feel like it's not enough. Having an honest conversation with yourself and having an honest conversation in community with your affinity groups, whoever that is, it's crucial. It is inevitably something that every single person experiencing that burnout will have to come to terms with at some point in their career. And so I want to be very clear. Burnout is not something to be avoided because it is a part of our human condition. And I think that's kind of a controversial statement because there's a lot of people that like to believe that you can prevent it, you can avoid it, you can just put it off. But in doing so, what we're doing is failing to cope with the symptoms and the byproducts of that burnout and of that compassion fatigue. And if we're not well practiced in those areas, we're setting ourselves up for failure in terms of the examples that I just shared, getting down on yourself, taking it out on others, deflecting, burning out of your career altogether. I know nurses that, put 2+ hard years in to go and pass their boards and do a good job and give back to their communities. And now they want nothing to do with nursing because they're so burned out. Teachers here in Oklahoma have pivoted into more technical roles where they're making more money. They are experiencing less violence and less scrutiny over things that they cannot control. And they're starting to breathe fresher air as a result of that. So that's not to say that, the teaching profession should be done away with. That's to say that we need to have a serious conversation that goes well beyond compensation in terms of how we hold these public service professionals in regard in our communities.
It's like paramedics too. I had someone in my family. Unfortunately, they passed away a couple years ago, and they did the job for 30 years, but they suffered from burnout and some post-traumatic stress as well. And yes, I totally agree with you on that. And my former career, I would say at the end of my former career, it was time for me to leave. I was kind of burned out as well, and I needed a change and working in a new career. And the last 4 years, I've been happier than I was the last 10 years.
I love that. And I love that for you, Chris, and kudos to you for doing the scary stuff, pivoting out of any career where that's what you poured yourself into, your credentialing, your field experiences, whatever that looks like, continuously upskilling and continuously trying to improve in that field. And then making the tough decision to say, there might be something better for me out there. How do I go get that? And being willing to do the work and show up to go materialize those things. That's what makes the difference. And now you're on a platform where you have an opportunity to share your story with others. And I just find that very powerful.
I love storytelling, and every show, like I said, is a different guest. And also, I want to prove to radio stations and everyone out there, I love my sports, but I can have non-sports episodes, and I try to have a very good sense of diverse shows, subjects, and guests as well. And I've even had a show about workplace bullying and harassment, and some other shows as well that affects all of us.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I would just like to encourage you to continue diversifying across these disciplines and these segments. This is what walking in your purpose looks like, and I love to hear the energy that you're bringing to that. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you for sharing your story as well. And we're going to get to some questions. And the first one I wanted to ask you, SE, is can you tell my audience, I'm based out of Ontario, near Toronto, just a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I'm a third generation girls basketball coach and an educator from rural Oklahoma. I spent 20 years in public service before joining the private sector as a consultant. Basically, what that means is my great uncle Bobby Kramer was a coach. All of his children were coaches. My uncle Don was a coach. My dad was a coach, and they were all educators. And while I never spent time in the public classroom beyond student teaching rotations, I've always found myself in an educator capacity in some mode or another, whether it was a field training officer, a facilitator, or, as I mentioned before, training and development. Even in curriculum design, there's even today as a consultant in tech, I find myself in a facilitator and an educator capacity where I really truly enjoy sharing useful information with those around me. I still spend some time in public service, serving both on boards that need advisory or regulatory modernization, or even partnering with small business owners and founders who are essentially looking to build a firm foundation and scale their business. So even though I have my quote unquote 9 to 5 in the private sector, I very much live and breathe public service, and I think my life is better for it.
When you played basketball, I got to ask you this: what position did you play, and what number did you wear, and was there a story behind the number?
As a matter of fact, there was. So, first of all, I played for small rural Oklahoma teams, and the rule was the higher the grade level, the first pick you got at your number. So for me, I played power forward and post, so I stayed in the paint mostly. I definitely was a baseline runner, and I had. Some people will chuckle to hear this, but out of all the NBA players that you could watch, I watched Dennis Rodman. It really spoke to me that he was the guy that was not afraid to get down and go after the ball. He was not afraid to get in the paint. He was not afraid to go do the work to protect his team members to get the ball in. And I found myself very much wanting to embody that as a defensive player. I'll say in terms of the number, when I did get to choose my number, I chose 33, and that was because I spent a lot of time over the summer at the University of Central Oklahoma, going to their camps and working with who I call mentors now as a coach, Coach Jim Seward, Coach Alex Wright, and a player named Tyrone Hopkins, who is now a coach somewhere in California, and his number was 33, and I jokingly say he taught me how to play against guys because frankly, they handle the ball differently. They shoot differently. They play defense differently. And he taught me how to really maximize the use of my space, whether that's creating space or finding new ways to work within that space in order to be most effective. And he helped me push past a lot of fear. He doesn't know any of that, but he very much had an impact on me. So I was very proud when I got to wear that number 33 for 2 seasons.
When you said the number 33, I was thinking Larry Bird, because when I think of 33, Larry Bird and Dennis Rodman, I'm a Detroit Piston fan. So I'm back in the 80s and 90s, the Bad Boys era, Dennis Rodman. And I think he played his college ball at Oklahoma. I think there's an Oklahoma.
He did. He played at, I want to say Southeastern or Eastern. But yeah, he was on the east side of the state. I want to say he was in Durant. And I believe that's Southeastern Oklahoma State University. But yeah.
Yeah, they retired his number 10 there as well. And look what he did with Chicago and the Lakers as well. Now, how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
5'10". Okay. I was 5'7". Now I'm 5'5". But I played 1 year of high school basketball, and I was a point guard, but I was on the bench. I was kind of like the 3-point specialist. But I miss playing basketball. It's a fun game. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a big part of my life, both as a young person and even into my adulthood, and I've got very pivotal developmental memories behind my time there.
And we got another viewer comment from Tiffany Williams. Thank you for sharing. Compassion fatigue is real. Well, that's another subject or another episode we could do on that just alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Tiffany Williams is actually in my network as well. And she is a powerhouse with one of the tribes that I had mentioned earlier. While she works in a bunch of organizational leadership and workforce development, she's a big proponent for purpose and inclusion and how to inject those into the workplace. And I actually had the pleasure and the gift to listen to her speak one time. It was actually just this summer at the Changemakers, or I think it was the Wayfinder retreat, and powerful stuff. I highly recommend you connect with her as well and learn about all the great things that she's doing here in Oklahoma.
All right, I will. And I want to say thank you to Tiffany for coming on. And that's one thing I've learned lately. When I have people watching my show live streamed, they put comments. I encourage people to comment suggestions or whatever. And I just try to bring them on here as well. I just want to make my show interactive with my guests as well.
I love that. I love that.
This leads to my next question. Where did you attend school? And you already mentioned some mentors. And how much did your mentors have an effect on your career so far?
That's a heavy one for me. So, as I mentioned, I'm a product of rural Oklahoma public schools. I told you I had spent undergrad with the Bulldogs at Southwestern. I completed my MBA at Southern Nazarene, which is also a school here in Oklahoma. And as a young athlete, and later on as a coach, I mentioned my uncle Bobby Kramer. He coached at Balco, Oklahoma, and he taught me how to shoot my first hook shot. But he also helped me develop the temperament that I have learned that young athletes need to receive impactful coaching. I told you about the time spent at UCO with those two coaches and the player. Those three taught me strength and conditioning from what I would say is a head game approach. The perspective and the space that you need to be in to really work to be the best version of yourself you can be on the court, no matter what the work looks like. That's something that has stuck with me. Another great one is Cecil Perkins. Cecil Perkins gave me my first shot at athletic training at the collegiate level, and he was the athletic director. So he taught me a lot about the business of being an athletic director, and this really helped me learn how to be an effective partner with more administrative leadership. So I had mentioned earlier being on SORT earlier in my career, and my first SORT commander, his name was Jason Tipton. He worked with the Oklahoma National Guard. He was a captain at that facility, went on to do really great things for both the military and in the corrections field. And he really taught me crisis leadership in a way that it led to several public information officer appointments. Justin Stripmatter is a great one. Justin is a full stack developer and architect with an industry leading organization. Is founder of MobiCom. Justin was the first one who really entertained my passion for tech in a specialized way and challenged me to see how far I could really take a role in a technically dedicated space. So I give him a lot of credit for my proficiency as an enterprise cloud solution architect today. And someone else that comes to mind is Janet Jones. Janet was a program manager for Oklahoma's Certified Public Manager program. And we had the opportunity to work together where she aligned a lot with my values for being intentional and being purposeful and ordering your steps toward something better for yourself. She continued to speak life into me and help me identify self-efficacy in a way that I hadn't been able to see that. Courtney McLean and Jonte Hall. They're both experts in driving diversity and equity in today's workforce. They both spent time and energy with me to teach me how to better partner with people whose experiences are different than my own. Their mentorship helped shape my time as a USDEI co-lead for my organization a few years ago, with pretty impressive numbers to match. So I give them a lot of credit. So besides that long list of names, I believe every single person that you cross paths with can teach you how to be a better human in some facet. During our time onboarding for this broadcast, I learned a lot from you about how to navigate through the media waters from a branding perspective. And I really admire your hustle and entrepreneurial spirit, Chris.
Well, thank you. Like I said, I've only been doing this for 4 years, and I've had to do a lot of self-teaching. The way I'm doing it's kind of the unconventional, old school way. But if you have a passion for something and you're willing to work hard and willing to learn and improve and take feedback, the only way nobody can stop you other than yourself. It's mindset. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. I know that sounds corny, but like I said, I still have a long ways to go, and I'm constantly trying to learn and improve all the time.
Yeah, that's facts. I concur with all of that, and I don't think it's corny. I think it's intentional, and I think the thought that we put behind toward wanting to create a better life for ourselves and a better community for our neighbors is what being a change maker is all about. So yeah, I think purpose looks good on you, Chris.
You never give up either, because when I first started, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started, I wasn't very good. I didn't have any guests come on, and I scripted everything. Everything was written down on a piece of paper. And I had some guys from the NBA finally come on my show, and they told me it's okay to write stuff down, points and notes, or even the odd question in that, but talk to your guests like you're at a coffee donut shop or at a sporting event. Natural conversation makes for a better radio and podcast show. And my show's been on a radio station now for almost a year now, and it's just amazing, and I love it.
Well, I'm definitely celebrating you over here in Oklahoma, Chris, and very much looking forward to all the greatness you'll continue to grow with your future guests. And just from what I've been able to follow since you and I crossed paths, I've very much enjoyed the passion and the energy that you bring to those episodes.
I that's basically sums it up right there. And also too, I've learned something about myself that I didn't in my other careers. I used to judge the younger generation and say, they're lazy, they're no good, we're in trouble. But since I've switched over to this career, I've worked with a lot of people in their 20s, 30s, and I was completely wrong. And I've enjoyed working with the younger people as well. And none of them have judged me based on my age or doing this the self-taught way.
Yeah, I think there's something very special about organic growth and that retrospective time where it, for the sake of being overly standard, start, stop, and continue. What do we need to continue doing? What's working and what's not? And being very honest with ourselves in the moment, but also being honest with ourselves enough to take that diverse feedback and maybe hear things that we don't want to hear, but we absolutely needed to hear in that moment. I think that makes the difference.
And also too, a podcast radio show is only as good as its guests. I'm just the host. I'm sort of like the facilitator, and it's the guest that is the real star of the podcast and the radio show.
Well, that's a tall compliment coming from you. So I just appreciate the opportunity to sit here and share a conversation with you and share a little bit about my story and where I've come from.
Yeah, I love the storytelling aspect of it, and doing camera work. I do camera work too for the local university here. So the on-air talent always gets the credit, but the people who do the camera work, they're just as important as the on-air people, because they're telling a story as well behind the camera. And there's a lot of work for a broadcast, hockey, basketball, volleyball, or whatever. It's not just the on-air guys. You need the audio guys, the producers, the directors, the camera guys, the tech guys, the IT guys. It's really a team effort.
I agree. And I love hearing that you're able to see the value in what each team member brings. I think it's very easy for people as they assume leadership roles in whatever regard or capacity that is. I think it's very easy to overlook the people that keep the house clean, not just the energy company that powers it, not just the city that brings you your water and takes your trash away. It's very important to realize the intricate support that each of those team members bring to run a fully functioning house and in a home that you can call your own and feel safe and secure in.
Absolutely. And we have another viewer, Janet Jones. I think I have my glasses on. I'm honored to be in your circle. The passion is required, the process is necessary, and the journey is yours. Well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, I concur with that. Yeah, absolutely. So Janet has a podcast also called
Okay.
Now don't shoot me because I'm gonna say it strong. It's passion, process, purpose, I believe. But there are P's in there, and the storytelling behind those episodes is very reflective, and it brings a sense of intrinsic growth that I look forward to seeing what other episodes are going to come out of there. No pressure, Janet, but
I will have to definitely check out her podcast show and subscribe to it as well, because I like to listen to other ones too, just to see how they do things and learn from them and stuff like that as well, and try to support them.
Yeah, Janet is absolutely a mover and shaker in the state of Oklahoma. She has a long list of supporters from her CPM program who have given her credit for helping to develop them into the leaders that they are today in state service. And happens to be a sharp whip when it comes to things like policy analysis and learning new ways to drive strategy in a way that not only makes sense, but incites change as opposed to having a feel good. So yeah, I give her a lot of credit for the direction that a lot of state agency professionals have been able to take as a result of crossing paths with her.
And here's a little more story about myself. I ended up getting into this new career by being at the right place at the right time. 4 years ago, I was doing some volunteer work for a local basketball team. They needed a camera operator. I said, okay, I'll volunteer, but I have no broadcasting or camera experience. They liked my work at the end of the game. They paid me, and basically my camera work led to my podcast show, which led to my radio show, and led to my media work. So just fate. I know that sounds silly, but just being at the right place at the time and right in the fate. And I've met so many wonderful people, not just connections, but new friendships. And one chapter of my life has closed, but a new one has opened up. And I wouldn't have met people like yourself and many others that have come on my show over the years.
I love to hear that. I hear you saying fate, but I want to challenge you to give yourself a little bit more credit because I also heard in that same reflection that you had to show up and you had to bet on you and you had to follow up and follow through. And you had to say yes and raise your hand and be willing to do hard things. So I think that the culmination of those things help drive where you are today. And so again, I just would like to challenge you to give yourself a little bit of credit there.
Okay, I admit I have my faults, and one of them is I'm very hard on myself. I'm still trying to get used to people compliment me because I was in an environment I'll just say I was in an environment for many years that was kind of negative and hostile, and never heard praise. It was always negative, and I'm trying to get used to it. So I'm still a work in progress, and what I'm doing now, it's just been positive, and I just have to get used to that.
I hear that. I absolutely hear that. The good news about the valley is that there's still growth in the dark places. So when we do finally reach our summit and get to take in some of that sunshine and get to kind of diversify our landscape, so to speak, it gives us opportunity to really reflect on our time in the valley, so to speak, and see how far we've come.
SE, are you still good for a few more questions, a few more minutes? You good?
Sure, let's go.
Okay. The next question I wanted to ask you is, what was it like working in the public sector, and then what was it like transitioning into the tech sector?
Yeah, so there are so many eye-opening moments of both intersection and frame breaking. Let me explain. Working across many different segments in public service, I was already well versed in things like project management or program management and platform administration. I mentioned incident command systems before, and even technical modernization. In public service, you are rarely working with the latest and greatest technical solutions. So this gave me an opportunity to work with enterprise level implementations for enterprise resource planning platforms or learning management systems, and even user experience development. So by the time I pivoted into tech, I was able to marry these more technically focused opportunities with my field experiences in organizational development and risk management and operations.
Okay. And are you able to tell us about your current role with PwC Consultant Solutions a little bit?
Yeah. So for me, let me take a step back. So for me, coming from public service and still feeling very drawn to public service, I think it's important to note that anybody working in public service carries a little bit of baggage in terms of their exposure to the bureaucracy, whatever the bureaucracy is in their respective place, organization, role, team, whatever. This did help me set myself up for success in terms of mitigating risk or driving strategy on client projects. But coming to the private sector really truly humbled me. And what I mean by that is over the last 3 years, I discovered developmental areas for myself that I really wanted to refine and polish in areas like communication, branding, tech, and definitely setting boundaries for my capacity. I get a lot of feedback from people who interview me for a variety of reasons, asking how I spread myself across consulting and nonprofit work and entrepreneurship and upskilling. And my answer is always this: it's always time management and setting boundaries. As long as you're continuing to work toward your higher purpose, whatever that is, you can't go wrong. And I feel like I'm doing that right now in consulting solutions. The myriad of opportunities that I've had to learn and to grow, both as a person and as a professional, can never be replaced. And I think that those listening to this who work in public service understand that we say yes many more times than we ever fix our mouths to say no. I've learned there's an art to saying no to protect your peace and to protect your capacity. And as a result, learning to do that effectively has helped improve my ability to be more fully present with my audience, whoever my audience is, whether it's my customer, my team, my leadership, my neighbors, people at home, but also to remain consistent in this level of effort to all my commitments. So working in consulting solutions has really shown me ways where I needed to grow to feel more holistically ready for my personal and professional goals. If I were to tell you that I would retire from consulting, I couldn't be 100% sure of that, because there was once a time in my life where I knew I was going to retire from public service, like from state service. And here I am, I'm finding myself working with globally diverse teams, answering some of the world's toughest problems and helping to work more brilliantly together. And in order to do that, I have to learn how to work more brilliantly for myself and with those around me. So working in consulting solutions is absolutely a different animal, but it also intersects with every single facet of work life that you could imagine. And as a result, I feel like I'm better for it. I have met amazing people. I have been gifted with amazing mentorship and also amazing opportunities just like this upskilling program that I'm in with the Chief Data Officer program. I wouldn't trade that for anything. It's been absolutely beautiful. And like yourself, I've learned that if I lean in and do the scary stuff, leaning with my passion and my purpose and putting attention behind those two things, I can't lose. And I haven't yet. That doesn't mean that it's always been easy or convenient or even comfortable, but I feel like I'm a better person for it. And I feel like I now am given opportunities to incite and instill a sense of hope and a sense of there's something else out there. And also to help create those opportunities for other people. That's not just lip service, that's an experience, right? So it's been one of the most meaningful experiences of my professional life.
What's a typical day like for you there?
Oh God, it changes every day. I mean, aside from your stand-up calls or your client-facing calls, it changes every single day. You could be working on a proposal one day, or you could you could be upskilling another day. You could be working on analyst work. You could be creating reference architecture for a new cloud solution. Just the other day, I was working on a serverless architecture, and today I had a conversation about implementing an HR model, an HR ops model. So I think it changes every day depending upon, the type of work that you love and that you're great at and that you want to do, and finding avenues to make yourself available to experience all of that. But at its core, it is service. It is it's excellence. It's trying to strive to deliver excellence every day and trying to bring the best version of yourself to whoever your audience is, whoever's in front of you. I'm a very strong proponent of treating every single person like your customer. But you can't do that until you know who your customer is in every single conversation. There's times when my boss is my customer. There's times when my daughter is my customer. There's times when the person sitting across from me is my customer. There's times when I'm calling my whoever my provider is for, I'll say my insurance company. And if I need to get what I need out of them in that phone call, I better learn how to treat them like my customer. Even though I'm their customer, I'm going to treat them like they're my customer in that conversation so I can get what I need and have a better outcome. And I think that's what we do at my firm. I think that we strive to learn how to deliver excellence and to build trust and to build sustainable solutions for some of the toughest challenges that our world's facing today. And that's very exciting to be a part of.
One word I wanted to use as well, I already talked about passion, is the other word I wanted to mention was complacency. And I'll be honest, my last career, I'm taking a lot of positives out of it. But towards the end of that career, I admit I was kind of complacent. And they say nowadays, if you start getting complacent in a career, it's probably time to move on. And I think the time was right for me to move on.
Okay. I hear that. Yeah. Complacency. It presents itself in a variety of scenarios for a variety of reasons. And I think it is important that we pay attention to those at every turn and really be willing to take an honest self-inventory in those moments to see if we are ordering our steps accordingly, or if it is time to make a pivot or make a change or make a tweak to that path.
Absolutely. And just talking to you, SE, have you thought about in the future about writing a book about your experiences?
I no.
Okay.
No, and I don't. I will say this: I very much value storytelling, and I know when I was in some of my toughest times in life coming up, and I'm absolutely a survivor and an overcomer. I will say that one thing that I've taken away from me that I pass on to other people when I do cross paths with them and they share their story, or a piece of themselves with me, I always leave with them, somebody somewhere needs to hear your story. You need to be prepared and you need to be willing to deliver that, because it might have very well been the one thing that person needed to hear that day. You know, a lot of times we say, hey, be kind to everybody for no reason. You might have been the only kindness expressed to them in that moment, all day, all week, all year. The same is true for sharing your story. And there is healing in sharing your story. There's growth in sharing your story, but there's also community, and there is inspiring action, that bias for action that changes the trajectory of people's lives. And I am living proof of that. If people had not been willing to share their story with me, I don't think that I would have known that there was anything better to be working toward. If I hadn't seen those things in front of me, if I hadn't heard something, if somebody hadn't taken that time to be a little vulnerable or transparent with me, I wouldn't have had those opportunities to know there was something better to work toward.
You know, even though we're in different careers and professions, with me, with this profession, people skills are huge. Being able to communicate, connect, and also what else is important, and this would apply to your career as well, is listening skills are just as important as talking as well, and having compassion and building a rapport with my guests, or in your case, your clients.
I agree with that 100%. Those are excellent thoughts.
And without a rapport and trust, you don't have much of a career in media or what you're doing as well. Because if that person doesn't feel comfortable around you and they don't trust you, they're not going to want to do business with you.
I hear that. I think there's a lot of truth to that in every industry. You know, the need to establish yourself as somebody who is dependable, or an organization or a product that is dependable, that is trustworthy, that does what it says it's supposed to do, you know, fulfills its purpose, whatever that is. I think that's something that we can all align on.
Absolutely. And I just have a couple more questions for you, SE. And wanted to ask you this question. Why is it so important in 2024 to be able to adapt to challenges and change, especially in the coaching profession as well?
Well, I think adapting to change, that's a really powerful way to word that question, Chris. I love that. Let's start here. So, and I'm going to try not to go too deep into change management when I say this, because I'll try to stay out of work mode, but at a high level, establishing a clear and purposeful vision is one thing, but being able to effectively communicate that vision, it sets the premise for any change initiative. Doesn't matter what it is, personal, professional, doesn't matter. It answers the question, where are we going and why, and what's in it for me? And for the people that it affects, that is priority. So change, as we all know, is inevitable. It's all around us. It is rarely ever convenient or comfortable. And this requires shifting things like organizational culture, mindset to align with these new goals, fostering confidence and agility, and collaboration through that innovation that we drive for. But when people talk about engagement, this is what I'm looking for. I'll talk about it in another instance. Redesigning processes and workflows, or staff training and development, or inciting a continuous improvement mindset. It looks a lot like reworking a play to get the ball down the court in less than 4 passes before the press break catches up and shuts it down. So what happens when we get caught up in a trap at the half court line? We can throw the ball away. We can turn it over. We can call a timeout. We can throw a knee-jerk pass to the first open body we see, or we can stay in that ready stance that comes with a collection of best practices and drills that we ran, and what ifs that we played over in our head that tells us the next step, or the contingency, or the succession plan to square up and shoot, pass, or dribble.
Well said. And I get another viewer comment. I have my glasses on, but the print is so small. I think her name is Daniela. Way to go, SE. I'm so proud of your accomplishments. You've had a long but very successful journey since we left college. Thank you for the comment, Daniela.
Yeah, Danielle. So Daniela, she's married now, but her maiden name was Boyadijieva, and I was so proud when I could pronounce that correctly for the first time. She was very patient with me learning how to pronounce that. Daniela and I met in undergrad, working in the Student Union Center, and I had a very small daughter at the time, trying to work full time, trying to go to school full time, trying to do it all, and she is what I call one of my daughter's aunties from the very beginning. And although we've parted ways, she's gone on to create an incredible career at what she does, and she's worked for some very big name organizations. She was always one of my biggest fans, and always was speaking life in me and saying, there's something better out there for you. You have to go get it, and I give her a lot of credit for the longevity of that investment, in the longevity of that, I guess, that intrinsic sense of, yes, I can. She never once told me, yes, you can, with a shadow of a doubt. There's never a hindrance. There was never an afterthought. There was never a hesitation. She spoke to me with such certainty, and that has never wavered. So very proud to know her and all the great things that she's accomplishing in her own right. So I count myself very lucky to be surrounded by amazing people, and being open to that mentorship and that feedback is what helped me get those people around me. So I have a lot to celebrate with these people that are showing up in the chat tonight.
Well, I want to say thank you to all of them for watching. And my show, when I first started it, was like 30 minutes live with CDP, and I had to get rid of the 30 minutes because I've been lucky. Most of my guests, they just feel comfortable talking to me, and my shows are usually about an hour long. So, are you okay for a little bit more time?
Sure, let's go.
Okay. All right. Because like I said, we're having a great conversation. And as long as the conversation's great, I don't want to end it too soon. But Daniela, I want to say thank you so much. And you know what? I'm connecting with so many people that I probably wouldn't have met if I didn't do this career change 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's a great place to be, and living and breathing in the digital space just continues to prove to grow new opportunities to rethink the way that we're connecting and keeping connection with one another.
And I wanted to also let you know one other thing about me too. Volunteer work has been important in my life as well. I was a big brother, I guess you have big brothers and big sisters in Oklahoma as well. It's worldwide. I was a big brother volunteer for 16 years, and I did some work with the local humane society and volunteer work. It's always important to give back. And that leads to this question I wanted to ask you, SE. How much of an impact has volunteer work had on your life, and also being recognized across communities and industries with the People's Choice Award for Youth Sports Coach, as well as awards and consultant?
So thank you for that, by the way. That was very kind. So I have worked in some facet of public service since I was in school, and picked up my first coaching gig at 18, United Way. So at its core, public service, and the reason I refer to it as public service is because whether or not you are getting paid for that or not, you are absolutely serving the public around you. So public service for me is being the change you want to see, and doing it on purpose, with purpose. And I'm a lifelong learner. I consistently seek out diverse experiences that help me drive toward my higher purpose, and not just to be a change maker in my respective field, but also in my community. So I'll add this in. I'm just stubborn enough to meet a challenge head on with effort. So wherever I land, it is with intention to improve performance, or to adapt to changing markets, or to perpetually innovate, to seek out best practices as humans, just being good humans to one another, whether it's as team members or as global citizens. So volunteer work or public service will always be a facet in my life, and it has been proven to me time and time again that it works if you work it.
Absolutely. And I've made a lot of connections through my volunteer work as well, and been able to impact some people. And it's just it's good to give back. And there's a lot of people out there less fortunate than myself, and I always like to try to give back and help out and be a good person, because I want people to remember me as a good person, that not just, oh, he's got this car, he's got this house or whatever, but I want to be remembered as being a good human being that was compassionate towards others.
I love that. And I'll add to that thought for people who are feeling maybe a little burned by volunteering their time and not feeling like there was any transaction or reciprocity there. What I will say is, don't underestimate the value in volunteering your time and your expertise. You're gaining field experiences there. You're
Absolutely.
growing and expanding your network. You are constantly retooling and refining the way that you are doing what you're great at. And I did many free public speaking events before I ever started getting paid. But what got me prepared to do those keynotes, to do those hostings for events, to do those facilitations, was all of that volunteer work that I had given out in order to try to work to improve and to again refine my approach in the things that I really want to be great at.
Well said. And also, in the last year or two, I've done a lot of media work for free with these professional sports teams. But instead of going to school for it, I'm not against that, the schooling. I've been paid back in getting skills and on hands training, and that's the thing too. Don't look at volunteer work as, oh, I'm not getting paid for it. You are getting something out of it, and then getting experience, skills, connections, helping people as well. There's so many wonderful things that can come out of volunteer work, whatever you do.
Couldn't agree more.
And that leads to my next question. We're getting close to the end.
Okay.
I promise. I promise. By the way, the first 4 years of my life, I didn't talk at all. My parents were worried there was something wrong with me. And then after I turned 5, I wouldn't shut up. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, you were just putting it away for growing greatness later on into adulthood. So
Well,
your voice found its place.
well, thank you. And this question, what is your next future focus for the Coach P going forward in 2024? And what do you enjoy the most about coaching athletes?
Well, I mean, 2024 has a lot of exciting opportunities developing, but you have to put a lot of thought and planning and commitment behind that. And I don't just mean joining a gym in January, right? So, for me, every single year I make a plan for upskilling, and like I mentioned earlier, this year I'm working toward so it's called a Chief Data Officer program. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be a certified Chief Data Officer. That's not what that means. What that means is I'm going to be certified to help work with today's industry leaders to help solve some of the toughest problems and answer some of the toughest questions that we are all collectively facing in the world of data. And I say data vaguely on purpose because it touches everything that we do in life anymore. I fully expect to utilize that new acumen and those new connections that I'm making to grow my career. My team at Fast Break Oklahoma has partnered with a new founder for very groundbreaking work in the e-commerce space. I'm very excited about that. I feel so fortunate to continue my work with my firm, where I help solution and drive value for our clients and their customers to help build trust or drive meaningful societal impact, and just basically reimagine what's possible in whatever market industry that you work in. So for me, I want to continue doing the work that I'm doing and get better at doing it. I'm always looking for new opportunities to grow. I do get bored easily, so it's nothing for me to, I studied I studied DevOps and SecOps and InfoSec all in 1 year. And that doesn't mean that I took it all on and I was entirely proficient and competent in it. But that did mean that I was able to develop some strong literacy that led into some other interest in my architecture career. So I don't really, prioritize one opportunity in 24 over over another. I spent 4 months last year just working on my communication in the ways that I've identified, and mentors have helped me identify where I could improve and where I could really grow in that. So I think maybe in a nutshell, Chris, the answer is growth. That's what my future focus is. Even when I came to my firm, when I first joined a few years back, I was very transparent with the recruiter, and I said, I'm looking for a place to grow. I want to learn more. I want to do more. And I want to work with a team and an organization that supports that. And the recruiter said, oh, you'll have plenty of that here. Just watch. And they have not failed to deliver yet. So for me, I'm here for the action.
You couldn't have said it any better than that. And this last question I wanted to ask you, I do this with all my guests. It's kind of a fun question. What are some fun facts about S.E Puett and the state of Oklahoma? And why should people watching or listening should consider visiting Oklahoma in the future as a tourist place?
Yeah. So I'll answer the fun facts question about me, something that comes to mind today, just because this weather's reminding me of it. But as of last year, I now have dual prosthetics in each of my knee joints. So I jokingly call myself bionic. I've definitely felt it in my joints from the weather change and air pressure and so forth. I love landscaping, and I use my yard as a canvas every season. Doesn't matter what it is, I'll find something new to do with it. Working with my hands is very healthy for me. Working outside in natural elements is very healthy for me. And so I try to kind of insight and inject work-life balance that way. I love my state, as I mentioned earlier. Oklahoma has very deep, vibrant tapestries of indigenous heritage that every single person walking this earth could really value from taking in and appreciating and respecting the foundation that was set before our country became a governed entity. And the people who are still alive and well in this state, who were at the origin of our state's history, of this land's history, it belonged to them. And this land is very sacred to them. And these multicultural centers and these museums and these events that Oklahomans have continued to put on year after year are incredible opportunities to learn more about that. Again, I told you we're a great food scene and have been developing over the last decade. There's a publication called the Gazette, and it's a really great publication that loves to feature all of the culture that Oklahoma brings, especially the Oklahoma City metro area, whether that's food, music, and entertainment, art, you name it. As I mentioned, plug for the tourism department. Over the last few years, they've done an incredible job helping to really highlight and showcase these stopping points and these points of interest for not only visitors, but also residential Oklahomans who are looking for entertainment and reconnecting back with their state in ways that really speak to them. So I don't know. I think many people who have relocated to Oklahoma over the last 4 years, I say 4 years because I'm kind of dating back to the pandemic, they really appreciate the affordable cost of living. As I mentioned earlier, I'll jokingly say they brought their driving habits with them. But yeah, Oklahoma has a lot to offer. Obviously I'm biased. I love my state and I love the people in it. I think we're probably a very controversial state right now, along with other politically contentious states. But it is in that contention that breeds growth and opportunity and evolution. And we've evolved in a lot of ways, in a lot of needful ways, but also a lot of meaningful ways amongst our people. And what I mean by our people is citizens of Oklahoma. And I'm very hopeful that the contention that people are feeling will be the growing pain that is the catalyst for something greater on the other side. And I have full faith in my neighbors in this state that we will continue to strive for the very things that put us on the map in the first place. Our motto is that labor conquers all. I very much align with that. I will be the first one to raise my hand and say, in any room, I'm the hardest worker in that room. Now, 2 or 3 or 4 other people may think the exact same thing, that they're the hardest worker in the room, but I bring that energy every single time. And I think that is very much in line with the identity and the work ethic of the people of Oklahoma. So I'm very proud to align myself with my state.
Favorite music? What kind of music do you like to listen to? And is there one thing about Canada you might know about? And have you ever been to Canada yet?
So I'm going to answer that backwards. No, I've never been to Canada. Definitely want to go. Want to go to Vancouver, or that doesn't even have to be Vancouver. It could be British Columbia. But I'm an avid hiker, and so anywhere where I can get up in the terrain and just take in that scenery would just absolutely do it for me. It's probably a bucket list item, if I'm being honest.
I love hiking too. And Ontario, the province of Ontario, is great for hiking as well.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to take note of that for sure. But I still have to get my passport. I don't even have my passport yet.
Okay.
So yeah. And then favorite music, I don't have favorite music. I absolutely love music. I use it often. There's a really great professional here in Oklahoma named Jeff Mims, and he studies the science of music and its therapeutic quality. They're being diagnosed on the spectrum with auditory processing disorder. I use music all the time, whether that is binaural beats or listening to certain frequencies of megahertz, or listening to classical music, or seriously getting into classic rock, R&B, hip hop. It doesn't matter. I love music, and I've been raised around very diverse music genres and subgenres throughout my life. And, I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up with grunge and alternative and rap. So whether it's Pearl Jam and Nirvana, or whether it's Wu-Tang Clan, I'm here for it. So it very much it's an undeniable presence in I think the human existence, where we've used it to identify with, we've used it as therapy, we've used it to reflect and reminisce. We've used it to drive work, whatever that is. Think about working out or playing music during your, the run out before a game, whatever it is. So music is in our lifeblood.
Absolutely. I'm a 70s baby, so I'm into rock music, 70s music, 80s music, and don't laugh, disco music. I used to grow roller skating back in the 70s and 80s, and when I hear that music now, it's scary. The older I get, more of the retro things are coming back. But one thing I will never go back to from the 70s is bell-bottom pants. I will not do that.
Oh, they're already in Target, so
Yeah.
they're in the mall, they're in Target, they've already come back. And consequently, we were walking past them, and we made a comment like, we remember seeing those when we were kids. So these things, they tend to come back around. You mentioned disco music. There's people that sample disco music in today's music right now, so it's everywhere. And I think it says something about, a look back to where we came from to where we are today.
And before we wrap it up, do you have a quick question for me? Put Chris on the spot question.
Yeah. What advice do you give people who are in that scary time in their life where maybe they don't feel fulfilled in their careers and what they've poured themselves into for years, and there might be something peeking on the other side, but they're just too fearful of the unknown? What advice do you give those people to, again, to lead into the hard stuff and do the scary stuff and show up for you and bet on you? How do you actually put that thought and that feeling to action?
Follow your passions. Follow your passions. And if you have a passion for something, follow it. And you're willing to work, and willing to learn, willing to improve, and willing to take feedback, positive or negative and just keep bettering yourself. It's something you want to do. And I would just keep it simple. My answer, I should have just said, follow your passions
I
and
love it.
your mindset. Your mindset too. You got to block out the noise because anytime you switch careers, you're going to have people supporting you, but you're going to have people that are saying naysayers and skeptics. And I've heard it. You're too old. You don't have a college degree in broadcast journalism. And I've blocked that out. So that's what I would say is if this is something you want to pursue, do it. Mindset and passion and being willing to put in the work.
I love it. I love it. Perfectly said. Well, Chris, I have, again, been following your work since we first connected. I've enjoyed watching your ability to connect and dialogue with professionals across all of these diverse platforms and segments of industry. And by the way, 350 episodes is nothing to sneeze at, something to be very proud of. And I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to have spent some time with you today.
Well, thank you so much, S.E. And we're going to wrap this up. Where can my audience follow you on social media, or what's the best way for somebody to contact you or reach to you?
I'm pretty simple. A quick search on LinkedIn will take you straight to me. It's S.E Puett, or I guess the tagline would be like /FBOK if you're typing the address in. Or alternatively, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm happy to connect with you and help however I can. That email address is sepuett@fbo.partners. And I think that's the best way to sit down. We'll have a conversation. And what I typically tell people is if, I don't know the answer 9 times out of 10, I know a guy and I'm happy to put you in contact with them.
And I will put your company's website on here too. I believe it's pwc.com.
Wonderful.
So, hey, S.E, I want to say thank you so much for giving me over an hour of your time. I really enjoyed watching. I enjoyed speaking with you. And if you can give me a little bit of time later on, I will have the audio and the video sent to you as well. And I'm going to work on a 1-minute clip too. And I'll send you that 1-minute clip as well if you'd like to post on your social media. But hey, I want to say thank you so much. And it feels like we've known each other for years. We've only known each other for what, 1 or 2 months, but just seems like we've connected for years.
Yeah, it's been very beneficial and very meaningful to me. I appreciate you and your support going forward, and again doing scary stuff like live broadcasts. You never know what you're going to get, and this was a lot of fun. And again, I just applaud your efforts and applaud you putting effort behind your passion and in fulfilling this purpose. It's really fun to watch, and I'm just very grateful to have been a part of it, Chris.
And I want to say, we got one more comment. And before I wrap it up, Janet L. Jones, great conversation. Thanks for sharing. Thanks, Janet. Hey, like I said, I'm just a host. The guests are the ones that get the credit. I set them up, and the guests are the stars. But I want to say thank you, Janet, for watching, and I appreciate the compliments. I am still working on taking compliments. I'm still much a work in progress every day.
Well, you're going to have to get used to that.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, S.E, but I
Yeah.
want to say thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have a great rest of the evening, and just give me a little bit of time and I will send you copies of our episode today as well. And I'm going to do a 1-minute clip as well, but you have an open invite to come back on Live with CDP talk show in the future as well.
All right. Thank you so much for your hospitality and for your conversation and for your amazing storytelling. It's been a gift.
All right. Well, thank you, S.E, and we'll definitely keep in touch with you on LinkedIn. Have a good night.
Likewise. Take care and be safe.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, guys, that was S.E Puett, and I want to say thank you to SU for coming on here tonight and giving us over an hour of her time. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live streamed, as well as on my audio platforms as well. And also, I have some news to share with you guys. A brand new Small Talk podcast, season 2, episode 1, with my new co-host Marlene Sharp and yours truly, Chris Pame, will return on Monday, January 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern with special guest Jennifer McDavitt, actor, writer, educator. I hope I got her last name right. So tune into that season 2, episode 1, Small Talk podcast with Marlene and myself on Monday, January 15th at 7 p.m. And some other comments. Daniela, thank you both, Chris and S.E. Hey, thank you, Daniela, and everybody for watching this as well. I really appreciate it and appreciate the support. LinkedIn has been great, and I'll definitely have to check out Janet's podcast show as well. My next live with CDP Sports Talk to be announced on my social media pages. I am working on another guest, and I'm hoping to have a show maybe possibly this Thursday and talking about the NFL playoffs, which start this weekend. And since the NFL playoffs start this weekend, we'll talk about it right now. We've got Saturday's games, Cleveland at Houston. I'm going with Houston. And the Saturday night game is Miami and Kansas City. I'm definitely picking Miami in an upset over Kansas City. And then the Sunday games, Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Buffalo should win, but I wouldn't be shocked if Pittsburgh's competitive. Green Bay and Dallas, I'm going to go with the Packers in an upset. And the Sunday night game, I have the Lions defeating the Rams in that Sunday night game. And I did have Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions, on my show today from 97.1 The Ticket. If you want to catch that show, it's on all my platforms as well. And Dan came on for about 25 minutes today to talk about the Lions and preview the game against the Rams as well. And the Monday night game is the Philadelphia Eagles, who have lost 5 out of their last 6, are now the number 5 seed, going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Monday Night Football at 8:15 as well. Before we wrap this show up, guys, I was in Buffalo Saturday for the KeyBank Center for the Buffalo Bandits Colorado Mammoths game, and I did a post-game interview with one of the Bandit stars of the game, the great Dane Smith, who had 7 points against Colorado, and he's a native of Kitchener, Ontario.
3 goals, and that wasn't our defensive fault with it. We were getting them up transition and whatnot, but 45 minutes it looked good. Our defense held it when they did, and we scored some timely goals.
Talk me through that first one. Obviously, you hadn't scored yet in KeyBank, and you're still looking for the assist.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny how it works sometimes. Again, I was looking to pass the ball, and it went in the back of the net. That's just a weight off my shoulder. I felt confident the whole time, even when I was shooting the ball tonight. He's a great goalie, obviously. We played him many times, and he made a lot of great saves. Even kept him in the game the whole game. But I felt different tonight. I felt confident when I was shooting. Again, that was a monkey off the back, and I'm ready to score a few more. So I think offensively in general, we move the ball pretty well, and we put the ball in the net when we need to.
Did Matt kind of set the tone early with that big save in the couple minutes into the game and that penalty shot there?
Oh, most definitely. You know what? Again, he's our backbone. He every night he seems to amaze us, and again, when he's going, we're all going. And being an offensive guy, we know he's going to make that next save, and we have some opportunities. And when we're going through a slump and stuff like that, when he makes those timely saves, it's incredible. And obviously, that penalty shot was huge for us, especially early in the game.
Coach and Josh, they use the word composure a lot, saying that you guys really kept your composure when things weren't going your way in the third quarter. Just what can you say, about the mindset and the way you guys were able to kind of get through that?
Yeah, you know what? When those are when the game's not going our way offensively, when we're not putting the ball in the back of the net, and maybe they're scoring, there's nothing we can do but worry about the next shift. We can't get on each other. And same with defensively, when we're not putting the ball in the back of the net, they just got to worry about keeping the ball out of the net. And I think that speaks volume of our team. We're never too high, never too low. And we're not getting on each other on the bench. So that's huge.
And did you feel like in the first half that was the Bandits team we saw in the playoffs last year, that everything was firing well?
Almost definitely. I mean, we had lots of opportunities. I don't know what the score was in the first half, but I felt like we could have been up a lot more, and our defense was holding them to really low numbers. And again, that was Bandit ball.
Chase got 100 goals in his career tonight, and do you wish you had some of his creativity, not only with his goals, but the assist he set up on one of Brad's goals? I think he picked up the ball, tiptoed around the crease. I think he fed it to you, but does his creativity just kind of wow you sometimes when he can do?
Yeah, both. I mean, our whole offense. I'm like, every game there's one goal, one or two goals. I'm like, wow, like Josh is always flying in there. Chase is doing some crazy stuff. I wish I was that athletic, but I just let them do that kind of stuff. I try to keep it simple or give them the ball, but it's really cool to see. Chase deserves it. He's coming into his own. He's playing more as again, like a complete player. I feel like he's a great goal scorer, but he's seeing the floor a lot better this year, and it's going to come with age. I mean, for myself, when I first started playing, I just wanted to score or whatever it may be. But as you get older, you just kind of want to play within the system, and everything else will follow. And he played well tonight. And again, Josh is Josh. He's flying in the air. He's getting us going, scoring those goals, timely goals. But he's the engine that kind of gets us going.
How big was Brad McCully tonight? Obviously, as not the start to the season that he wants, and then gets into this game, puts up 5.
Yeah, you know what? He's always done little things that people don't really realize. Obviously, he fights, which is huge for us. He sticks up for our teammates, but he's more than just that, right? And offensively, sometimes he struggles to score, but that's fine. We don't need him to score every game. He obviously didn't get the opportunity to play last game, and he stepped up this game and proved the coaches that he should be in the lineup, right? So that was a big game for him. I think again, if you do the little things and they'll add up, and he was rewarded tonight.
Josh just said that not going 1-3 at the start doesn't motivate him. He just worries about the game coming up. Is that a common attitude, or someone like you say, like, 1-3 would stink. We're better than this. We want to cut this off right here.
Yeah, you know what? It's definitely nerve wracking. He has a different mentality, which is awesome. I love it. He always keeps things positive and whatnot. But definitely going in the game, you're thinking that's in the back of your mind, right? You don't want to slip early, but as soon as the ball, the face off is taken, that's out of your mind, right? You're just working on each shift and winning that battle. So again, at the beginning of the game, yes, I'm thinking about, hey, we don't want to be 3-1. 1-3 by the end of this. And then as soon as the ball's out drop, it's like every shift matters, right? And they're going to add up. And obviously coming 2-2, it's worried about the next game now. We're excited about the challenge ahead. Obviously, again, we're going on the road. It'll be nice to kind of take a bus trip with the guys. But there's nothing like playing in Banditland. And I know our fans will travel really well in Rochester, so we're looking forward to that.
The importance of this game, how is it any different with the new schedule and playoff format?
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. You know what? It's still early in the season. I get that, but you're looking at the standings, and every game matters that much more. Not that to say like the games didn't matter last year, but you kind of knew you needed to win those Eastern matchups a little bit more this year. You have to win every game for the most part, so it puts a little bit more pressure. We haven't seen a lot of these teams. Colorado, we've seen a lot, unfortunately, but it's one of those things. Again, you have to regroup. We do a lot of film on different teams and stuff like that, but it's a cool opportunity as well playing. Not Toronto 5 times, not playing Colorado 5 times, right? So, but it's a challenge as well. So we're excited about it, but we're worried about Rochester next.
Dane, you've been in the league for a long time now. Do you find this league is more competitive now than ever before?
Most definitely. You know what? It's funny you say that because you're looking at the schedule. In the past, you're kind of looking forward to some matchups that you might be able to sneak out, whether it be an expansion team or whatever, and you feel confident about that. I feel like I don't feel confident about any game, because any team, I should say, because every team's great in this league, and you can't take a night off, especially again with the new standings and whatnot. But it gives credit to this league. Every player is great. Every goal is great. Coaching staff, everything, which is really cool for the league to grow. And I think you can bring more teams in, which is really cool to see.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys, that was the great Dane Smith, number 92 of the Buffalo Bandits. He's a native of Kitchener, Ontario. He had 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points in Buffalo's 12-8 win over Colorado. The Buffalo Bandits are now 2-2 on the season, and the Bandits are back on the road this Saturday, January 13th, 7 o'clock at Rochester. And if you've never been to a National Lacrosse League, check out their website, nll.com, or the Buffalo Bandits website, bandits.com. And Dane Smith's one of the great players in the National Lacrosse League. He's an MVP, NLL Finals MVP, and he also leads the National Lacrosse League in assists this year as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk is a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Pame. Is on weeknights, and I'm on the air right now. Is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. When this is live is done, check out my show on the website, the radio station's website. You can listen to it right now on WQEE FM dot radio 12345.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram if you follow me there at Chris Pame on Instagram, thanks to StreamYard. You can also check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Pame. Live with CDP Sports Talk again is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210 or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, Discover Winter Event, a 2024 Silverado 1500 custom crew cab, lease for $277 bi-weekly. That's like $139 weekly at 5.9% financing for 24 months with $3,749 down payment on an ultra low kilometer lease. More details available at barrycullen.com. You can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. Yes, I am a TikTok content creator. A lot of my players and coaches and media work is and promos for my shows are on TikTok. So Live with CDP, and hit the like notification there as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting such as yours truly, check out StreamYard.com. And I'm now a proud affiliate of StreamYard. And you can sign up for StreamYard through StreamYard.com, and you can get basic free plans, or you can get plans up to professional like I have. If you have any comments or questions about StreamYard, please feel free to DM me or email me at cpame19 cpame19@gmail.com. Sometimes my thoughts come out more than my words say there, so that happens as well. Finally, Live with CDP Sports Talk, the audio version is available on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, and Tuned In. Finally, you can email or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpame19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188 with comments, questions, suggestions. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated as well. And we're going to wrap up our show right now. But again, finally, before we wrap up the show, the DeMarco Crew is set for release in 2024, and it features a great cast of actors, including my friend Chris Spinelli from Fatal Justice, Louis DiStefano from Backfire, Nicole D'Angelo from Love Crime, and Shane Ryan Reed from Another Way to Die, in just to name a few. Be on the lookout for the DeMarco Crew on most major streaming services, including Tubi and Amazon Prime. And my friend Nino Sciamino is a producer, actor, and writer as well. So please look for this movie coming out live stream soon called The DeMarco Crew. And I'm hoping to have some of them on my show, including Nino Sciamino and Chris Spinelli and some of the cast from that show as well. And that wraps it up for a busy day today. But remember, my next show, I will make an announcement soon. I'm working on a guest and doing an NFL playoff preview. So hopefully we can do that on Thursday. But again, brand new edition of the new Small Talk podcast, season 2, episode 1, with my new co-host Marlene Sharp and myself, returns Monday, January 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern with our special guest, Jennifer Davitt. She's an actor, writer, and educator, and look forward to having her on our first show. So again, I want to say thank you to S.E Puett for coming on today, and as well as Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions as well. So I hope everybody has a great night, and hopefully we'll see you guys very soon for season 7, episode 25 of Live with CDP Sports Talk. Have a great night, everybody. And again, thank you to everyone watching this live streamed in audio, and as well as WQEE 99.1 FM, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph. Good night, everybody.